Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's training in our wonderful, our wonderful Facebook group, but I also go live in other places. So if you're visiting us from LinkedIn or someplace else, welcome. And so let's go ahead and talk about this week's live. I'm really excited about it. And I am going to give you a little bit of homework. But it's fun. And I am going to ask you to also post in, whatever platform you're in, post about your homework. Okay, so this week we are still going to talk about chronic stress, but we're going to talk about it a little bit differently. Last week we talked about chronic stress, where the how kind of runs under the radar there, and you don't really know that it's happening. And the reason why that's happening is because in today's day and age, we're under so much stress. And, we get it from the TVs, we get it from our jobs, we get it from social media. There's all kinds of places that, can cause us to be stressed out. There's so much input coming our way that it's really hard for us to, to get through it all, I guess. And so what happens is those feelings of stress, they actually become normal for us. And it's like, oh yeah, this is just how I feel. Well, it's really not okay that that's how you feel. It doesn't mean that it's not affecting your body, because it is. What your feelings are going to determine whether you're going to be in fight, flight, or freeze. And if you're in chronic stress, you're going to be in that fight, flight, or freeze, and your brain is going to be releasing those stress hormones, which are not good for you. So whether it's normal or not, it doesn't matter. It's still affecting your body. And this week, what I want to do is I do want to talk about some the signs again, but I want to talk about them from the perspective of the three of the four domains I talk about all the time. So we were talking about the mental domain, the emotional domain, and the physical domain. So from the mental domain perspective, this is when your thinking brain gets shut off. So that happens because of the stress hormones. Now, this doesn't happen to everybody, or doesn't happen with every stressor. So I want to make sure that that's clear. Remember, we're all individuals, and every stressor is individualized as well. So it doesn't mean that every single time we're under stress, our thinking brain is going to shut off. But the signs of your thinking brain shutting off is going to be, we talk about brain fog all the time, but, having a hard time making decisions, being disorganized, not, difficulty focusing, and, poor decision making. Thinking, those rabbit hole thoughts that we get, that's the mental sign of our thinking brain shutting off. And so we don't want to get down those rabbit holes, because those could cause some pretty dark feelings as well. So these are the areas in the mental domain to be looking for. But like I said, if you don't, if for some reason your thinking brain stays on, or that stressor is just not causing it, it doesn't mean that you don't have some chronic stress going on. So for instance, last week when I had that stress going on, if you listen to last week's live, you'll know about that. And it was the fatigue in the physical domain that I caught, but my thinking brain was still working just fine. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to get back to the mental domain and then the emotional domain. A lot of people, when it comes to their emotions, not a lot, but some people say, I just don't feel. And that's okay, because attitudes have a big part of it as well. So if you don't feel, then we're going to want to talk about your attitudes. So some of the things that are going on in the emotional domain would be, short-tempered, saying and doing things that we don't want to do. I kind of went out of order on myself, but that's okay. Dramatizing situations is something else that happens. Withdrawing from family and friends. So anything like this that's going on, that's your emotional domain that is not at optimum. Now, if we go to the physical domain, fatigue, I talked about that, right? And, and I talked about the fact that, my thinking brain was working just fine. So like I said, you don't have to have, your thinking brain doesn't shut down every single time. And body aches and pains, how when you're tense, and you could get some body aches and pains, you could get headaches and that type of stuff. So that's another big one. One that I talk about all the time is chronic stress does cause the microbiome to be unbalanced. When the microbiome is unbalanced, you could get something called leaky gut. Now, I have a whole live training on leaky gut that you're going to want to look at if you think you have that. But chronic stress causes that. So you could have gut issues as, physical sign of chronic stress. The other thing when it comes to the microbiome being unbalanced is 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. And because of that, if you're unbalanced there, your immune system's going to be off. So if you're catching a lot of colds and flus, if you're one of those people like I was, that I used to say, oh my gosh, if it's going around, I'm catching it. Well, you might want to look at that, not only the chronic stress, but the microbiome being off. So some of the other physical signs is your jaw, if like TMJ, if you're grinding your teeth, that's definitely a physical sign. And I used to twirl my hair all the time. That's a big one. That was a big one for me. One of trying to think, biting on pens or pencils or anything like that. So those are just some of the physical things that we could be doing. Now, I do want to make sure that everyone understands that just because you're twirling your hair, it doesn't mean that you've got chronic stress. I don't want anybody obsessing over something like that. If you're not really self-aware, then I would not wait, but I would check in and see if you have more than one sign. If you catch yourself twirling your hair, then you might want to sit back and go, is there anything else going on? Is my gut bothering me? And am I feeling agitated? Am I feeling fatigued? So check in with other things that could possibly going on before you worry about it. So, and how it is that you're going to do that is through self-awareness. And we're going to talk about that when we talk about the homework. The reason why I catch it with one symptom is because I am self-aware and I do know exactly what I'm supposed to be feeling like. I know what I feel like when I'm not stressed. So when I start feeling stressed, I could catch it a lot quicker. That chronic stress is so sneaky, it might take me a couple hours to catch it, but I still catch it. Okay. So one of the things that people don't realize is that we have an inner battery. And that inner battery can get filled one of three ways. Through our nutrition. If we're eating good food, we're going to get good nutrients in us. That gives us energy. Sleep. Huge with our energy. So we need to be getting good sleep. If you're not getting good sleep, you might want to consider, that is one of the signs. So sleep is very important. Those are two big ways that we get our energy. But the third one is through the techniques I teach in my program. I do teach techniques in order to build up that inner battery and keep it at 80 to 100%. Why do you want to keep it at 80 to 100%? Well, that's because that's when you're going to handle all your situations well. Even if you get kicked in the gut, on a day, you're going to get up, from whatever that was that kicked you in the gut. You're going to be able to rebound from that a lot quicker. You're not going to lose your temper as much. You're going to just be able to handle all those daily situations that are happening, and you're going to be able to do it with ease and with grace. And I think that's what we all want. So that's why you want your inner battery that way. And think about it from the perspective of your phone. I don't know if I talked about that yet, but your phone, when you're going out the door, you kind of want it to be at 80%, when you're going out the door, but let's say it's not, let's say it's at 50%, you need to have the ability to recharge it. And so a lot of us have, the ability to do that with, in the car while we're driving and stuff like that. So you want to have the ability to recharge your inner battery as well. And not all the time can you get nutritional food in you when you're on the go. And not all the time can you just say, oh, I'm just going to go take a nap. Let me get 40 winks here to get that inner battery. So you need to know these techniques that are going to increase that inner battery and increase your resilience on the go. So, that's, why you really want that, that whole fatigue thing. I wanted to kind of go into that just because that's what I talked about last week as my indicator. And so now I'm going to talk real quick about your homework. Let's see. Oh, no. I want to talk about something else. I did tell you that, maybe I didn't tell you. I can't remember now. I'm kind of going off my little notes here. That's so funny. I very rarely do that. So the emotions is what will either drain our inner battery or will recharge our inner battery. And so those darker emotions of anger, fear, shame, pain, boredom, loneliness. Those are the ones that are draining our inner battery, and the ones that are charging our inner battery are the emotions of, love, compassion, ease, peace. Gratitude, those type of emotions will charge it. But here's the key: is that you can't just think it. So you can't just be sitting there going, "Oh my gosh, I'm really, really frustrated right now. I know because my inner battery's down. I'm going to think about being peaceful." It's not going to happen. You're not going to fool this heart right here. Okay, the heart is where you're feeling the emotions from, and that heart knows what you're feeling, and you can't think your way out of it. If you could think your way out of stress, you would have thought your way out of it a long time ago. But if you're in this Facebook group, chances are you haven't been able to think your way out of the stress. So you need to know how to get a hold of your heart and how to know truly what your heart is feeling. And once you know what it's feeling, then you need to be able to transform from the darker emotions over to the lighter emotions. Okay. So I want you guys to do something for me this week. Okay. Here's your homework. And it's all about self-awareness. Self-awareness is key to any health journey that you're on. You need to know what you feel like when you're healthy. You need to know what you feel like when you're not stressed, so that you can easily check in with yourself and go, "Oh, wait a minute. Something's kind of amiss here." So in order for you to do that, you need to journal. So I want you to take 10 minutes every evening at the end of the at the end of the day, and whether that's after dinner, just take 10 minutes or whatever. If you're waiting for your kids to get out of dance, or you're instead of listening to that podcast or whatever it is, just take 10 minutes, and you can write. You can take your phone, and you can talk in your phone, but talk about the day. Talk about at least 3 things that happened that day, and whether and think back. Did you feel drained from that conversation that you had with that boss? Did you feel energized after having that amazing conversation with your child? What was it that happened? Pick out 3 things and write it down. And then what I'd like you to do is put it in the Facebook group, or if you're in LinkedIn or wherever you're at, type it in so that we can talk about it, because this is how you're going to start knowing whether you are falling into one of those sneaky chronic stress type situations. Okay. So that is key. And that's your homework for this week. And we'll hopefully be able to talk in the different groups this week. And so I do want to let you guys know that I am going to be planning a challenge. I'm so excited about this one. I am going to be teaching this stuff like a way that I've never taught it before. And I'm really excited about how I have put this whole thing together for you all. So in this one, you're going to also learn the breath technique that I use for most of my meditation techniques that I teach. And this breath technique is absolutely key. So you do want to be there live and present so that you can learn this technique. Okay. So, well, and if you're there live, you can always ask me questions too. It's a little hard to do that on a replay. If you watch it on a replay and then you don't, well, I guess you could comment in the Facebook group. So, or whatever group you're in. I keep using the word Facebook. Sorry. So anyhow, okay. So that's what's going on. I'm really excited about it. I hope you enjoyed this week's training. Do your homework, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.